All right, we're going to get started in just a moment. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So today, I want to talk about the four minimum documents needed to close a probate escrow. What are the four documents, at least the minimum documents needed to close a probate escrow? And again, thank you for joining us. This is just a forum so we can learn about probate, talk about the probate process and how it affects real estate transactions. So it's an opportunity for anybody to ask questions. We want to know exactly what kind of issues people are dealing with, and we can, focus the show towards those particular topics to make sure people are getting the information that they need. I just want to say at the beginning that I'll do a disclaimer. I am not an attorney, and I do not give legal advice. However, I am a real estate broker in California, so I definitely can give real estate advice and business advice. But this is meant to be educational and, inspirational for people, just to let them know they can get this done. There's a lot of people that need help in the probate space, so we want to empower people to get the information that they need. And if need be, we want to connect them with the correct professional that can help them in whatever space that they are in. I think it's definitely a good idea to hire professionals whenever you're dealing with things that might be outside your depth. Okay. So again, what is probate and why are we even in this situation? So just to recap, probate is when you're trying to transfer the assets out of a deceased person's name. The person has passed away. They own assets that are in their name personally, and you want to try to get the assets out of their name into your name or an entity that you control. And so when it comes to a real estate transaction, which is the angle that we take, trying to make sure people know how to deal with real estate when it's part of the probate process. When it comes to a real estate transaction, you often see, most of the time, two types of transaction. The first one is a transaction with limited authority, and the second is a transaction with full authority. And oftentimes when you see a property listed in the MLS, now that we have the probate tabs to let you know if it's a probate listing or not, and if it's court confirmation needed or not, that's a good feature that we now have on our MLS. But it's always interesting to see how agents, um, make the notes make agent notes where only the agent is supposed to be able to see some of the private notes, and how they describe probate situations, whether they need court confirmation or not, if they're familiar with the process, if they give information on the overbid, and if they give information on the court hearing date. Even if they even give you access to the property, sometimes that can be a challenge. So again, full authority and limited authority. All right, so let's just go over what's needed, the documents that you need to close a real estate transaction if you have a full authority sale. First document you're going to need is the order for probate. Order for probate That's Form DE 140. Simplest way I can put it, the order for probate is an order from the judge, and it appoints a personal representative for an estate. So it is when you're actually appointing a personal representative for an estate. That's number one. Number two, the document that you need are going to be your letters. Your letters. This is probate form DE 150. Now, whereas the order for probate gives the appointment of the personal representative, the letters is what actually gives that personal representative authority. So the letters are very important in a transaction. And we'll get to that in just a moment, why they're so important. But once you have the letters, you have the authority that you need as a representative of the estate. Now you can access assets, you can access financial information and make financial decisions. You can deal with banks and insurance companies and things of that nature. So the letters are very powerful. Now there's the most common letters that you'll see is letters testamentary, excuse me. And this is when a person has died with a will. They've died, they have their last will and testament, and their will is submitted to the probate court for review. If no other objections come in objecting to the will, then the judge will say, yeah, this is a valid will, and he'll name that representative as the executor of the will. So that executor of the will is appointed as the personal representative, and then they're given their letters. And since that person has a will, the letters will be letters testamentary because it's the last will and testament. The other option is for your letters to be letters of administration. This is typically when a person has died without a will. So someone petitions the court to be the personal representative. The judge says, okay, I approve you to be the personal representative. Since there was no will, you're not executing a will, I'm appointing you to be the administrator of the estate. So whenever that person gets their letters, the letters will be letters of administration. So like I say, two types of letters: letters testamentary for a person who died with the will, and letters of administration for a person who died without a will. So again, number one, order for probate. Number two, letters of administration or letters testamentary. The third thing that you'll need in order to close a probate for a full authority is the notice of proposed action. Notice of proposed action. This is probate form DE 165. And the notice of proposed action is basically a form that the personal representative is sending to the court, sending to the heirs or beneficiaries, sending to any interested or required party, letting them know that some type of action is about to take place, and you have a limited or a set amount of time to either say, I'm okay with it, or say, I object with it. And if you object with it, you formally let the court know that you object. And typically what we're talking about in this situation is the sale of real property. So as an example, the personal representative, they have their letters of administration. They're going to sell the one property in the estate. They have full authority from the judge to do so. And before they can actually close escrow, they need to formally notice all the interested parties and say, hey, at a certain date, we're going to take a certain action, sell this house. If you object, you need to let us know, let the court know. If you consent and you're okay with it, you can do nothing, let time expire, or you can just go ahead and sign a waiver, and just, fast forward the whole process. So that is an option that you have. Okay. Notice of proposed action. Very important form. And the fourth thing that you'll need in order to close a probate escrow, whenever it's full authority, is you're going to need an email or a letter on letterhead from the attorney to the title company confirming there are no estate taxes due. You want to have an email or a letterhead letter from the attorney to the title company confirming that no estate taxes are due. All right, so those are your four things you're going to need in order to close a full authority sale. An order for probate, that is the order from the judge appointing a personal representative to the state. You're going to need the letters, either letters testamentary for a person who died with the will, or letters of administration for a person who died without a will. You're going to need a notice of proposed action so you can alert all the interested parties, all the required parties, that the property is going to be sold. And if they want to object, then they have a certain time frame in order to do that. And the last thing that you'll need is the email or letterhead from the attorney to the title company confirming there are no estate taxes due. So that's for a full authority sale. Now let's talk about if the sale has limited authority. If the sale has limited authority, first document you're going to need is the order for probate. Same, just like you did in the full authority sale, you need the order for probate, DE form DE 140. Okay, so you also, second thing you're going to need letters. You're going to need your letters of administration, and you're going to need your letters or your letters testamentary. The third thing you're going to need is the order confirming sale. The order confirming sale. This is form DE 265. The order confirming sale is what you get after you have a court confirmation sale. And if you're not familiar with a court confirmation sale, that's basically because the authority of the personal representative is limited. The judge has limited their authority. There's only so much action they can take in the process without getting judge approval. They can only go so far without the judge saying, let me look over everything, make sure it's right, make sure it's fair. And if it is, I'll give you the approval. So that's how a court confirmation sale works. You give notice to the public saying the house is going to be sold on this date. It gives the location of the sale, which is typically at the courthouse, and it gives the instructions for anybody who wants to come and overbid. And there is a specific process in the probate code on how the overbid works and the calculation on how much you have to overbid. So that information is public. Anybody in the public can show up on that court date, and if they decide that they want to pay the overbid price and pay more than another buyer was going to pay, there is a process for them to do that, and the judge will confirm that sale. If nobody shows up to overbid, then it's pretty easy. Whoever was the buyer initially, the judge will confirm that sale. And the order confirming sale, it basically says that the sale was legally made, the sale was fairly conducted, that the sales price was not disproportionate to the property's value, and it makes sure that all required notices were given. And the final thing that you need in order to close a limited authority sale is the email or letterhead from the attorney to the title office confirming that there are no estate taxes due. So let's just review that one more time. You need the order for probate whenever this is a limited authority sale. You need the order for probate. You need the letters of administration or letters testamentary. You need an order confirming sale from the judge, and you need an email from the attorney to the title company confirming no estate taxes due. Now, one of the forms is different in here when you're doing a court confirmation sale versus a sale with full authority where you don't have to have court confirmation. So let's just think about it. Full authority. You know your authority as the personal representative. Your authority is given to you in your letters. So let's just talk about that real quick. Your letters give you the authority, and within that letter, it says it right there on the form. The judge states how much authority you have. It'll check the box for full or check the box for limited. If you have full authority, that means that the judge will allow you to sell the real property, and you don't have to come back into the court to get approval to finalize the sale. That means you can go ahead, and as long as you can sign a listing agreement with an agent, you can accept the offer from a buyer, you can open escrow, and you can close that transaction, assuming that you make sure you send out that notice of proposed action. That notice of proposed action is required because there is no court oversight, and they want to make sure that you're not just giving the property away at a deeply discounted number. So that notice of proposed action is going to go out to the court. It's going to go out to all the required parties, and it's going to state the terms of the sale. It'll state who the buyer was. It'll state the property being sold. It'll state the purchase price and other relevant information. So if somebody does want to contest the sale and say, hey, I don't believe that the house should be sold at this number, I believe it's worth more, then they have an opportunity to reach out to the court and say, I don't really think this sale should go through. And then the judge at that moment has a choice to make. Is he going to let it go through because this claim has no merit? Or if it has some merit, like, okay, we may need to change this into a court confirmation sale. So anything that's sold cannot be done unless I give it the blessing. So full authority sales, typically that's the way that you want to go if you're dealing with a client and you're an agent, because it's really just going to take several layers out of the process. It's going to make things a little bit easier, but it's the one that looks most like a traditional sale. Sometimes the buyers really don't even realize they're in the probate process, but for the forms being used, it looks almost identical to a traditional sale. So like I say, whenever the personal representative gets their letters testamentary or their letters of administration, it will state on the letters what your authority is. If you have full authority, that gives you a lot of flexibility to manage the estate, but you still need to make sure that you have a fiduciary responsibility to do the best job for the estate. And the other option, like I said, is a limited authority sale. So the judge is giving you your letters testamentary or your letters of administration. And in those letters, the judge has said that your authority is limited. And typically what that means is the judge is giving you authority to sign a listing agreement with the realtor. You can go that far. You can market the property for sale. You can review offers. When it's time to accept an offer, you are, in the forms will say it, you're accepting an offer subject to. The personal representative can sign the offer and say, yes, we have an agreement with a prospective buyer. However, because your authority is limited, you cannot complete the transaction unless the judge gets involved. So you're signing what basically is a subject to offer, subject to the court, to the approval of the court, meaning the judge needs to sign off on it and make sure that everything is on the up and up. It's similar to several years ago when there were tons of short sales everywhere. The seller may have been in some kind of financial situation and decided to sell the house for a value for a purchase price that was less than the mortgage was owed on it. So unless the seller could, bring some money to the table, some money to close, they would have to get the approval of the lender in order to actually sell the house. So anybody that did a short sale, the buyer understood that the seller was signing this offer subject to approval from the lender, subject to bank approval. So the seller would sign the offer. However, that offer can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. They don't have the authority to sell because they don't have the necessary funds to release the lien. So in order to sell and give somebody a clear title, have the lender release the lien, they have to approve the sale. They have to approve taking a hit, selling the house at a discount to what they can receive on the payoff in order for you to move forward. So you can open escrow, but unless you had the short sale approval letter from the lender, you were not able to close escrow. So it's a similar situation here with the limited authority. That means that you have to have a court confirmation sale, and you're going to be subject to the public overbid. And that simply means that you accept an offer from a prospective buyer, and then you have to take that offer and you have to set a hearing date at the court for a court confirmation sale. And you have to do a publication and let the public know that this house is going to be sold at a certain date, at a certain time. Anybody who wants to buy it can show up and follow the overbid procedures. And they can, if they're the successful bidder, then they get the opportunity to buy the house. But if there is no overbid, then whoever was the original subject to buyer, the judge will just confirm that you are now the buyer, is going to give you the order for sale. And then you can take that order for sale to the escrow company and finalize the transaction, because the escrow company will move forward now that the judge has said it's okay. Your authority was limited, but the judge said it's okay. And now you can complete the transaction. So let's just talk about some of the differences in the forms, because some of the forms are the same that you might need for a limited authority sale or a full authority sale. Some of the documents are the same, but it's going to be real specific about which copy that you need. So for example, in the full authority sale, when it comes to the letters of administration or the letters testamentary, you're going to be required to provide a certified copy. It can't just be a regular plain photocopy. You're going to need a certified copy from the clerk with your letters. And let's just think about that for a minute. You have your letters. The letters say you are the administrator, or you are the executive, you are the personal representative of this estate. You have full authority. You can sell this property without having to run it by the judge. As long as you send out the notice of proposed action prior to closing the escrow, you can sell this property without having to notify the judge. So with that in mind, the escrow company and the title company want to know that you are, in fact, the correct authorized personal representative of the state. And the way that they verify that is they ask for a copy of the letters, and they want the letters to be a certified copy with the stamp from the court. Okay. Now, when it comes to a limited authority sale, you also need a copy of the letters of administration or letters testamentary. You need a copy, but it does not have to be a certified copy. In a limited authority sale that's subject to court confirmation, the copy of the letters that you provide to escrow or to title, it can be a plain copy. One of the documents that you need for the limited authority sale that you don't need for the full authority was the order confirming sale. So let's just think about this. In a limited authority sale, you're going to need a copy, certified copy of the order confirming sale. That means that the judge has looked at this, it's been subject to an overbid, and the judge say, yes, we can sell the property. We had limited authority initially. We signed a listing agreement. We brought you a subject to offer. We think this is the best price after marketing the property that we're going to get. And we want you, judge, to confirm this sale. And the judge, if everything looks on the up and up, he'll confirm the sale and give you an order confirming sale. So when it's time to get ready to close escrow, you need to take that order confirming sale to escrow and to title so they can see that the judge has signed off on it. And they're going to want to see a certified copy. They're not going to want to see a plain copy. They want to see a certified copy so that they know from the judge, because your authority is limited. So they want to know from the judge that it's okay to move forward and close this transaction. They want to know that the sale, that was legal, that it was conducted fairly. Like I say, the sales price was not disproportionate to the value, and all the required notices were given. So if the escrow company has that order confirming sale, they know all those things to be true, and they feel comfortable moving forward. So this is meant to be interactive. So if you have questions, I want you to start putting them in the chat. We'll actually use those questions. We'll go back and forth whenever we can, and for whenever we don't have enough time to answer the questions, we can circle back, do that via email, or we can make those additional topics for the upcoming weeks. So that was the main thing I wanted to talk about. The minimum documents needed to close a probate escrow. And it's very important that you understand what those documents are if you're a realtor. Because if you're dealing with attorneys, they want to know that you know what's going on, and any help that you can give them in making the process easier, you really just add more value to what you're doing, whether it's working with attorneys or helping families. You know what I'm saying? You're really adding value and showing why they need to be working with you. So just to recap, the documents that you need to close a full authority sale: you need the order for probate. You need the letters, either letters of administration or letters testamentary. You need a copy of the notice of proposed action. And you need the email from the attorney to the title company confirming no estate taxes due. And for a limited authority sale, this requires court confirmation and the overbid process. The sale, you need the order, number one, order for probate. Number two, you need your letters giving you your authority, whether it's limited. Well, they'll be limited in this case. You need your letters of administration or your letters testamentary. Number three, you need the order confirming sale. And number four, you need your email or letterhead from your attorney to the title company confirming no estate taxes due. And that, like I say, this is not legal advice, but just based on my conversations and listening to attorneys, listening to escrow companies, listening to title companies, I believe these to be the minimum documents that you need to close the escrow. So, like I say, we want to try to continue to give you some more information so that if you're in a situation where it looks like you're going to need to be the personal representative for an estate, we want to empower you and give you the information and education that you need to ask the right questions and to give you the confidence to move forward in the process and not get stuck or feel, overwhelmed and just kind of stuck in place. So again, Walter Williamson, broker in LA, focusing on the probate space. And we do this every Friday. It's an opportunity to ask questions and just get information about anything related to probates, trusts, and estates. See you next time.